If you are looking to change up your banking in 2025 and get a new current account, then this will help you decide which one to go for. I say which one, I actually think it's worth having more than one account. For a start, having one can put you at risk when you have things like IT meltdowns or other kind of things that might go wrong. So it's definitely worth having at least two, but you can have more. Don't think there's just a single account is all you can have. You can have as many as you want. Now, as you guys know, my job is to look at these different accounts and try them out and tell you all about them. Plus, you also know I'm a bit of a money geek, right? So I like to take advantage of all the different features you've got. I have more than 20 different current accounts, right? That is way too many. You do not need that many. I do not use half of the ones that I've got. But as I say, I have them so I can tell you about them. But I certainly think you should be looking at, say, ideally 3 or 4. If you're keen to take advantage of all the different things we're going to go through right now, then maybe you might even want to go as 5 or 6. I think beyond that, it's really going to take on a little bit too much admin and management. It's absolutely perfectly manageable and you might want to give it a go. But for most of you, sweet spot of around 3 accounts will mean you get access to loads of different features. And of course, some of the things I'm going to go through right now, you might be able to get them from more than one account. But I'll take you through some of those kind of key categories I think you should be thinking about when it comes to getting a current account to help you narrow down that list. And if it does feel like it's a little bit too much, don't worry, I will at the end take you through my one size fits all. You only want one account. Again, I think you should have more than one. If you only want one account, the ones which kind of encompass some of those kind of multiple features that give you access to rewards or interest or cashback or decent apps, all those things combined. So they might not be the best in each class, but they're certainly decent enough when you mix them all together. So first of all, let's talk about bank switching. Now, I'm not going to tell you the best account to switch into because these offers come and go. Over at becleverwithyourcash.com/banks, there is always an up-to-date list of the latest deals that you can get. And these offers range anywhere from 100 quid to 200 quid. Sometimes little extras boost that a little bit more as well. And of course, when these do come along, we do articles, videos, and podcast episodes with more detailed analysis of each offer. So I can't tell you which ones in 2025 will be the best for switching because you never know what's going to come and go. What I can tell you though, and this is the first thing I think you should be thinking about, is what's the best dummy account in 2025. Now, a dummy current account is an account you open with the express purpose, all you want it for is to use it for switching. So you don't have to lose some of the other features and benefits you get from another account if you want to keep it. Now, of course, if you've got an account that you don't want anymore, then absolutely switch that. But if you want to take advantage of multiple switching deals, then I would open up a dummy account. And the winner here for 2025 is Chase Bank. There are a couple of reasons why Chase is my top account to open to switch away from. And that's because when you open it in the first place, it only does a soft credit check. Remember, most current accounts, when you apply for them, there will be a hard credit check. So if you are going to open up multiple ones in a year, you probably want to space it out a little bit rather than cram them in all at once. And you certainly want to avoid doing it if you've got something like a remortgage or a first-time mortgage application on the cards at least 6 months before that. So that's the first reason, because you open it up, and then when you switch away, that's not going to be a double credit check. It's just the newer credit check for whatever account you're opening later on to apply for that switch. But the reason why, there are other accounts that do that, but why the Chase is the better of those is because once you've opened up that first Chase current account, you can open up another 9 in the app. So you have 10 in total. Now, this is really handy for a number of reasons. It could be quite good for budgeting. But why it's quite handy is you can use one of these extra accounts. And it's very important that you do that. You open this extra account and you use that to switch away from Chase. You should never switch away from Chase if you've only got a single current account with them, because if you do that, it will completely close down your whole account, savings accounts, current account, everything you've got with them, and you will not be able to reopen it. So remember, open up extra ones and use those to switch to those other offers. Now, of course, once you've switched into another bank to take advantage of that switch in money, you might not want to stick with that bank and you can use that one for continuous switching. But say the winner, best dummy current account is Chase Bank. Next up, best banking app. And although the other features I'm going to come to later on, the rewards and stuff are great, ultimately, the best thing you want from a current account is a decent app, right? As long as you are doing app banking and mobile banking, that makes your life so much easier. And although the high street banks have improved a lot over the years, the best ones are still the ones which have been created from the ground up to be mobile phone banks. Same with last year, it was a close call here between the two at the top. I've gone again with Starling over Monzo. I do like the Monzo app. I think its improvements it made just over a year ago now are really good. I do like it a lot. But I think Starling just has that little bit of an edge on it and sort of better customer service and all those things that come into play with it. So definitely if you're thinking of how can I make it so much easier day to day when I'm banking, I would certainly be looking at Starling. I do want to give you a runner-up though, another runner-up. Obviously, Monzo is a very, very close run-up, but another runner-up if you don't want one of those digital banks, you do want one which has a high street presence as well. In that case, I would look at NatWest or RBS. It's exactly the same app that the two of them have. Because it's decent enough. It does all the things you kind of want to do with it, but it has a nice little extra feature, which none of the other ones really do, that you can use the app to take money out of an ATM, either a NatWest own one or a Tesco one. So again, how often do we take cash out? But it is a little bit of a nice little feature, a little bit extra that is worth looking at when it comes to the best apps. Okay, the next category to talk about is the best current account for everyday spending. Basically, which one is going to be best for debit card spending? That's primarily what we're talking about here. And the winner here, once again, is Chase Bank. And this is because it offers you 1% cash back on the vast majority of your spending. Now, it is capped at £15 of cash back every single month. So if you spend £1,500 in a month, you'll get that £15. Over a year, that's potentially 180 quid you can earn for just spending as normal, which is really good, right? Yes, there are some pretty decent cashback credit cards out there as well, and I will cover them separately, and you might want to choose between the two depending on what's going on. But certainly in terms of debit card spending, I think Chase is the best one. It's also fee-free to use overseas. And yes, there are other cards that are fee-free to use overseas, but they don't have that 1% cashback. So this one really is a good, wherever you are spending, to make sure you are earning something on it. Now, if you are new to Chase, then that cashback is automatic. If you've had it for 12 months, then you have to start adding money in every month. So £1,500 has to be paid into the account to trigger cashback in the following month. But that money doesn't have to be in one go. If you haven't got £1,500 to put in, you can put in £500, take it out, put it back in, take it back out, put it back in. Just cumulatively, you have to trigger £1,500 to make sure you are earning in the following month. So well worth having a look at that, just your everyday spending. Now, there are other accounts that do this. Nationwide's Flex Direct does it. Santander Edge account does this, which give you cash back on a limited categories or a limited amount every month. I don't think they're worth considering. Chase just beats it all the time, or one of those cashback credit cards, which I'll cover separately. But there is one runner-up I want to give a kind of a bit of a mention to, and this is Monzo. So like Chase, it is fee-free to use overseas on spending. Not great on cash withdrawals, but it's good on spending. But this one is worth a look simply because there are quite some popular retailers that you can activate and easily activate it to earn additional cash back on. Now, these come and go, but it could be anything from Netflix to who else is on there? LNER, all sorts of different retailers. And yes, other banks do this as well. Santander, Halifax, Lloyds, they're always worth a look to see if they've got these promos. But I really like how easy it is to activate and monitor the cashback and the wide range of retailers on there. So it's a good one to keep an eye on. If you have a Monzo account anyway, do have a look and maybe use that for some of your spending sometimes as well. Now, the next category is the best bank account in 2025 for your bills. And this is a separate one because, again, it is possible to earn cash back on those core bills. So your council tax, your broadband, your mobile phone, your TV, your gas, electricity, and your water. Now, this is with the Santander Edge account. Now, it's not a huge amount. It's just 1%. And there is a £3 fee that you have to pay on that account every month, which will wipe out a lot of your earnings. You have 36 quid a year. Means you're probably only, depending on the size of your bills, only end up with sort of 10 or 20 quid profit. But as long as you're paying your bills, and someone in your household, I'm assuming, is doing this, then this is like a little bit of extra money for nothing. And again, I quite like having a separate account for my bills in the form of budgeting. So that money, I move it from standing order to my Santander Edge account every single month. Well, actually, I've got the older 123 account, which is a little bit better, but that's not available for new customers. So if I'm new to it now, it will be the Edge. Goes over there and the bills come out. And then each month I do the same thing. It just means I know the money is secured. I'm not going to accidentally spend it anywhere else. Nice little separate bills account, and I'm earning that cash back on the account. Plus, you also, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on, do get access to a 7% paying savings account with this as well. So your cash back will cover the fee and make a profit, and you'll get access to some top savings. But we'll come back to that one. The runner-up here I have, if you are more interested in budgeting, and I know a lot of people are, then you obviously having a separate account like I do works in one way. But if you want to have it in the same account, Monzo and Starling are really worth having a look at here because you can send all your bills to a separate space or pot, depending on the name of it, depends on which account you go for. And that can again be paid straight out of those to the different providers. So again, you can do exactly what I was doing there, send it over, but it's within the same ecosystem. So if you're not fussed about the cash back or the faff of that, you just want to stick to a single decent account, which has all the other bits and pieces, but separating the bills out, so you don't get confused by them, then have a look at Monzo or Starling. Okay, let's get on to rewards now. This is why I have so many accounts in lots of ways, because there are a number of accounts which give you extra perks. And my winner here, again, for another year in succession, is the Halifax Reward account. Now, this does require a little bit more effort to trigger the reward, but once you do this, it's nice, easy money. It's 60 quid a year, £5 a month, or alternatively, you could choose a cinema ticket every single month, but I'd rather go with the cash and use it how I want to. But 60 quid a month for one account, but you could have 3 of these. So if you follow the tricks and the hacks to do this, and I have covered that in more detail, so I won't repeat myself now, that's potentially 180 quid you can get. Really, really good. Again, there is a little bit of admin associated with this. You have to spend at least £500 on the debit card every month. So if you've got 3 accounts, that's £1,500 on the debit card, which might sound amazing, but surely that's what you're doing with the Chase account if you're doing that. So double ups, but there are some hacks and tricks that I have covered, which means you can get around that. And effectively, you're just transferring money to yourself and different ways around it to make sure that money comes through. So potentially 180 quid from the Halifax Reward, which is why it's my number 1 account. My runner-up is the Club Lloyd's account, simply because it's much, much easier to do this. The rewards are 6 cinema tickets or a magazine subscription for a year, or a year of Disney Plus with ads. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of adverts with streaming services, but actually I've triggered this from my Club Lloyd's. I gave it to my parents so they had access when Disney cracked down on password sharing. And over Christmas was watching stuff there. The adverts aren't that bad, actually. So free Disney Plus for a year is a really good benefit here. You do have to jump through a couple of tiny hoops, have to transfer in £2,000 every month to the account. But again, that is easy to manage. Again, you can do it in smaller amounts. I can have covered that in more detail. So do check out the full review on becloveyourcash.com on both the Halifax Rewards and the Club Lloyd's accounts to make sure you know how to access those perks. But freebies are great ones to get, great reasons to have some extra accounts just for that. That would be your everyday banking, great reasons to have some extra accounts sitting around. And then you can take advantage of any other features that come with those accounts as well. Now let's look at best package bank account for 2025. Now, my previous winner has disappeared this year, the Nationwide Flex Plus account, because it really amped up its fees. But I have got an alternative here, and that is the Virgin Money Club M account. Now, if you don't know what a package bank account is, basically you pay money every single month, and in return you get some different rewards or policies. This is one for £12.50 a month where you get worldwide family travel insurance, family phone cover and gadget cover, and UK and European breakdown cover for the account holder. So if you and your partner, if you've got a partner, both drive, then it's worth opening this up as a joint account. But that is a decent one if you need 2 or 3 of those policies. £12.50 a month could well work out much cheaper than buying a separate gadget cover, breakdown cover, and travel insurance cover. Of course, if you don't need these things, you don't need this account. But if you do need one, that is the one I'd be looking at right now. The runner-up here is a little bit different. It is a packaged account, but you do not get any of those insurance policies. Instead, you get a rail card, you get cinema ticket every single month, and you get a perk from Greggs every single week. If you are going to buy a rail card anyway, which is normally 30 quid, you can often get it for around 15 to 20 on offer, but let's say it's 20 quid then, and you go to Greggs every couple of weeks for a coffee or a sausage roll, or you go to the cinema, View in particular this one, then the £7 a month from the Monzo Perks account can work out as really good value. But again, only if you're going to do this anyway. And of course, if you're taking advantage of the cinema tickets from the accounts that I just mentioned just now, then maybe you don't need this. But if you want more cinema tickets, or you're doing other perks, other offers from those other accounts, then that is definitely worth taking a look at. Now, I've covered separately my top savings accounts for 2025, and they are, all of them, linked to current accounts. And that is because some of the big perks you get from opening up extra current accounts is access to these linked savings accounts. So I won't go into full detail here, but give quick heads up. My 2 winners were the First Direct Regular Saver, which is 7% fixed for a year. You need that First Direct current account for that. And the Santander Edge Saver, which gives you 6% for a year on balances of up to £4,000. So that's better for a lump sum, whereas the First Direct one is better for regular saving every single month. Again, both of those require you to have those current accounts. Do check out the content I produced on the top savings accounts for 2025 for more information on those. Plus, we have full reviews on the website. I'm going to give you one other one though, one other runner-up. This is for those of you who really don't want to have separate savings accounts. Now, I think you should have separate savings accounts for the same reason I think you should have additional current accounts. Plus, there are other benefits. It helps me make you really know what's in your savings, whereas if in your main current account, you can get mixed up with everyday spending. But if you really want to, or you know you often have a lot of money in your account anyway, then there's only one current account which offers a decent amount of in-account interest on larger sums, and this is from Crew. Now, its rate has dropped a huge amount in the last year. It offers 3.65% at the moment. That is linked to the base rate, so it will drop if there are base rate cuts in 2025. But if you often have some money sitting in your account, a couple of grand, 2-3 grand, when the money comes in and bills come out, whatever it might be, it's worth having a look. But that's just for those of you who really, really want that as a feature. For the rest of you, put your money elsewhere in a better paying account. Now, overdrafts, the best ones for 2025 are sadly nowhere near as good as the ones a year ago. And that's because Nationwide axed the 0% interest for 1 year on its Flex Direct account, which means the winner here is much, much smaller. It is £250 from First Direct. So if you do sometimes go overdrawn or have a small amount that's often at the end of the month, it's getting a little bit tight, then that can be good. It can be saving you some money, because if not, if you've overdrawn it in any other account, it's going to be 40% interest, which is way, way, way higher than you really should be ever considering. Now, if you do need something that is larger than that, you have some debts which you can't get rid of in other ways, you haven't got savings that can clear them, you can't use a 0% money transfer credit card to move it from the overdraft into a credit card and be paying it off, at least have 0% for a period, then you can look at Monzo or Starling, because depending on your applications, there's no guarantee of this, you might be able to get as low as 15% and 19% with those banks. Now, that's still high, but it's obviously a lot better than 40%. Okay, very quickly, best ethical bank for 2025. The winner here, I mean, there is really no proper competition, is Triodos Bank. That is absolutely, if you really, really, really want to ensure that your money is being used for ethical purposes proactively, as well as avoiding some of the other bad things that go out there, then that is your best bet. It is £3 a month, so you are paying for the privilege, although you can very easily argue that there are a lot of other people out there paying for their banking via those overdraft charges. Just those people who are good at banking don't. So it's probably a fairer way of doing it for lots of reasons. And the app isn't amazing, but if you can put up with all of that, then that is your top option. If you do want something, though, which is a little bit more user-friendly, should we say, and hit some of the other things I've spoken about above, then I would be looking at Nationwide or Starling, just broadly as banks to go for. They are Nationwide as a building society, means that the bulk of its money is going towards helping people with mortgages and money going back to its members. It has that loyalty bonus that comes out every spring as well. So that's definitely a good bet there. Whereas Starling ranks well when Ethical Consumer looks at them. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty there, and there could be some controversy about who some of the key shareholders are, but you can say the same for so many of the other banks out there. Certainly, they are better options than your likes of Chase or Barclays or Santander or HSBC if you're worried about things like the environment and money being given for new oil pipelines, or if you're worried about money being lent to arms manufacturers, any of those kind of big issues with the big banks. That's what they do. They're businesses. They want to make a profit, so they give money to these places. The likes of Nationwide and Triodos, they will not be doing that. And finally, I promised you I would share that I only want one bank category for 2025. If you don't want to faff around with these, again, I do urge you to have at least two, just in case something goes wrong. But my winner for 2025 is Chase Bank. I think the app is really good. Not as good as Starling or Monzo, but it is really good. You'll be very happy using it, and you'll find it so much more simple and easy to do things out there. And the customer service isn't too bad. But really, it's that 1% cashback on your spending, which makes it, head and shoulders above the rest, because you'll be earning money every single time just by spending. There's no hoops you have to go around, no other extra pieces you have to do in particular. So that is my number one, just one single bank. As a runner-up, though, a couple I would look at that kind of encompass some decent things all around. I do think that Santander Edge account is decent if you are paying the bills. You can get 1% cash back on spending at the supermarket and on travel. So if you don't want Chase, at least you can earn on some of your spending. Plus your access to that 6% savings accounts all around. That's pretty good. Or I would look at the Club Lloyds account. So again, you get some decent freebies with it. It has a decent app. Had some improvements to it this year as well, which make it a little bit better than it was. Again, good all-rounder there. You also get access to a 6.25% paying regular saver. So I think, again, as a package, that is not a bad bet to go for. In fact, if you wanted just 3 accounts, they would be good ones. Chase for your spending at home and abroad, Santander Edge for your paying your bills and access to savings, and the Club Lloyds for some freebies and another decent regular saver on top. Remember, do keep an eye out for switching deals with many of these different accounts, because that could be the reason to go for one over another. BeCleverWithYourCash.com/banks is where you'll go to find out which offers are currently running. My name's Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos here for more ways to make the most of your money in 2025.